Just after dawn, as the lights inside Kensington Palace began to fade behind heavy curtains and closed doors, a silence settled over the institution that many palace insiders say felt different, sharper, heavier, and far more deliberate than anything seen in recent royal memory. Because somewhere behind those walls, Prince William was reportedly preparing a decision that could redefine not only the future of the monarchy, but the fate of his own family. And if those reports are true, then what happens next may change everything you thought you knew about power, loyalty, and the price of a crown. For years, the world watched the public tension between Prince William, Prince Harry, and Meghan Markle unfold through interviews, documentaries, headlines, and carefully timed public appearances. But according to reports, what the public saw may have been only the surface of a much deeper institutional struggle, one involving succession, legacy, public trust, and the very survival of the British royal family itself. Because while cameras focused on California, podcast deals, and streaming contracts, something very different was reportedly unfolding inside Buckingham Palace, where King Charles III, Catherine, Princess of Wales, and senior palace advisors were said to be quietly watching a line blur between royal duty and commercial influence. And according to several royal commentators, that line may finally have reached its breaking point. But here is the real question. If you were born into a 1,000-year institution, would you protect family first, or would you protect the crown first? That question may now define the next chapter of modern monarchy. Because insiders claim that over the past 2 years, Prince William has gradually transformed from the quiet future king many once underestimated into something far more strategic, far more calculated, and far less willing to tolerate what some observers describe as institutional ambiguity. And if those reports are accurate, then what happened behind palace walls was never personal revenge, and never brother against brother, but something colder, something larger, a deliberate restructuring of royal identity itself. At the center of this growing storm stood Meghan Markle, the former Hollywood actress whose entrance into the royal family transformed global headlines, reshaped public conversations, and created one of the most commercially recognizable modern royal brands in decades. Alongside Prince Harry, the Duchess of Sussex built influence far beyond palace gates, securing media partnerships, public speaking deals, and international visibility that many traditional royal watchers had never seen before. Yet according to reports, that success may also have triggered serious concern inside palace circles, where some believe that royal titles, royal symbolism, and royal access were beginning to drift into commercial territory in ways previous generations never imagined. And that is where, according to palace commentators, Prince William allegedly began asking a very dangerous question. If royalty becomes a brand, what happens to the crown? And once that question is asked, can the institution ever go back? Sources close to royal commentary suggest that Catherine, Princess of Wales, played a quietly stabilizing role during this period, continuing public appearances, charitable initiatives, and family-focused messaging, while speculation around Meghan Markle and Prince Harry dominated international headlines. For many supporters of the monarchy, Catherine represented continuity, trust, and discipline, while for others, the contrast raised even deeper questions about what modern royal identity should actually look like. And maybe that is exactly what made the next move so powerful. Because reports now suggest that by the time public speculation began, Prince William may already have been several moves ahead, consulting advisors, reviewing institutional frameworks, and preparing what some commentators describe as the most significant royal status clarification in decades. Those reports remain unconfirmed, but if even part of them is true, then this story was never about headlines. It was about succession. It was about authority. It was about who gets to carry the crown into the next century. So tell me this. Do you believe Prince William is protecting the monarchy, or reshaping it forever? Because what happened next reportedly brought King Charles III, Prince Harry, and Meghan Markle into a silent power struggle that no camera was allowed to witness. And in the next chapter, the documents, the strategy, and the first institutional line in the sand begin to emerge. If you want the truth from behind palace walls, subscribe now, stay with us, and prepare for what comes next. Because this royal drama is only just beginning. What happened after those first whispers from Kensington Palace did not begin with a public announcement, a royal interview, or a carefully staged photograph outside Buckingham Palace, because according to palace commentators, the real battle had already moved behind sealed doors, into legal offices, private briefing rooms, and confidential strategy sessions where Prince William was no longer being described as simply the future king, but increasingly as the architect of a monarchy preparing for a harder, leaner, and far less forgiving future. And if that sounds dramatic, consider this. While global headlines continued to follow Meghan Markle, Prince Harry, streaming contracts, media ventures, and public appearances in California, reports suggest that inside palace circles, a very different conversation had begun, one centered around a question so uncomfortable that few insiders were willing to discuss it openly. Had the royal brand become more valuable outside the monarchy than inside it? That question, according to royal observers, changed everything. Because once Prince William reportedly began reviewing how royal titles, royal associations, and royal prestige were being used in global business spaces, from media negotiations to public branding opportunities, insiders claim that the Prince of Wales started seeing something not as family controversy, but as institutional vulnerability. For Prince William, the future king, this was not about tabloid drama, and not about sibling rivalry, but about whether the monarchy itself was slowly losing control of its most powerful asset, legitimacy. So ask yourself this. If an institution survives for nearly 1,000 years, what happens when its greatest symbol starts becoming a commercial product? And more importantly, who has the courage to stop it? According to reports, that responsibility may have landed directly on the shoulders of Prince William. And what makes this moment even more fascinating is that insiders say Prince William did not move emotionally, and Prince William did not move publicly, because instead, Prince William allegedly began building something far more dangerous, a framework. Sources close to royal commentary claim that throughout private consultations, Prince William worked alongside constitutional advisors, senior palace legal teams, and trusted institutional strategists to examine decades of precedent, reviewing how previous monarchs handled royal privileges, royal titles, and the boundaries between public duty and private opportunity. And according to those same reports, what Prince William found may have confirmed his deepest concern. The modern monarchy had entered a gray zone that previous generations never had to confront. Meanwhile, King Charles III reportedly remained cautious, measured, and deeply aware of the emotional consequences of any institutional action involving Prince Harry. Royal commentators have long described King Charles III as someone who values reconciliation, continuity, and family legacy, and according to reports, King Charles III initially favored patience, dialogue, and time over confrontation. But patience, according to some insiders, was no longer Prince William's strategy. And this is where everything begins to change. Because while Catherine, Princess of Wales, continued appearing at public engagements, hospital visits, charitable events, and community initiatives with a calm confidence that many supporters associate with the Princess of Wales, Prince William was reportedly building a very different kind of public future, one based not on popularity, but on structure, accountability, and unmistakable lines of authority. Some palace commentators now believe that Catherine, Princess of Wales, became one of Prince William's strongest symbols of institutional discipline during this period, because while global headlines chased controversy, Catherine, Princess of Wales, quietly reinforced everything Prince William wanted the public to remember about monarchy: service, stability, and consistency. But was that intentional? Or was it strategic? What do you think? Because while public attention remained focused on Meghan Markle and Prince Harry, reports suggest that inside palace legal circles, a phrase kept appearing in confidential discussions: working royals. And according to commentators, that phrase may have become the foundation of Prince William's next move. If those reports are accurate, then Prince William was no longer simply debating public perception, and Prince William was no longer debating media narratives, because Prince William was reportedly preparing a doctrine. One that could permanently redefine who gets royal privileges, who keeps institutional access, and who must stand entirely on private identity. For Meghan Markle, whose global recognition had become deeply tied to royal prestige, and for Prince Harry, whose personal journey remained emotionally connected to both family and independence, such a doctrine could change everything. And perhaps that is why, according to royal speculation, tension inside both Buckingham Palace and Kensington Palace reportedly reached levels not seen since the early transition into King Charles III's reign. But the real question is no longer whether Prince William was preparing to act. The real question is whether Meghan Markle and Prince Harry saw it coming. Because in the next chapter, documents begin to surface, legal strategies reportedly collide, and Prince William, the future king, may make the first move that transforms royal drama into royal policy. If you want to stay ahead of every twist, every palace revelation, and every hidden move behind the monarchy, subscribe now, stay with us, and get ready. Because what happened next may be the boldest royal maneuver of Prince William's entire life. By the time the first rumors of internal policy changes began leaking from Kensington Palace, palace watchers across the United Kingdom were already sensing that something far more serious than ordinary royal tension was beginning to unfold, because according to royal commentators, What Prince William was preparing behind closed doors was not a symbolic warning, not a carefully worded family statement, and certainly not another temporary compromise, but something much more permanent, something designed not merely to control headlines, but to redraw the institutional boundaries of the modern monarchy itself. And here is where the story takes a dramatic turn. Because according to reports circulating among senior royal correspondents, sometime during those private consultations, Prince William allegedly authorized the creation of what insiders began calling a status clarification framework, a phrase that may sound bureaucratic on the surface, but according to palace observers, carried consequences that could directly affect every public role, every ceremonial privilege, and every commercial association tied to royal identity. And if that framework truly existed, who was it really designed for? Was Prince William thinking about distant relatives, semi-retired royals, and institutional modernization? Or was Prince William thinking specifically about Prince Harry and Meghan Markle? That question, according to royal insiders, is where everything became intensely personal. Because by this point, Meghan Markle had already built one of the most recognizable global profiles connected to the royal family, transforming from actress to duchess, from newcomer to international headline, and from palace figure to independent media personality whose influence stretched from Hollywood to global philanthropy. Alongside Prince Harry, the Sussex brand had become something previous generations of the monarchy never fully anticipated: a private enterprise carrying public royal symbolism. And according to reports, that may have been exactly what kept Prince William awake at night. Because insiders claim that Prince William, the future king, began viewing royal branding not as harmless visibility, and not as family independence, but as something far more dangerous: an institutional precedent. And once a precedent exists, how do you stop the next one? Think about that for a moment. If one branch of the royal family can step away from formal duty while still benefiting from centuries of royal prestige, what prevents future generations from doing exactly the same thing? And if that happened, would monarchy still be monarchy, or simply celebrity with inherited titles? According to palace commentators, those exact concerns reportedly pushed Prince William into action. Sources suggest that during confidential meetings involving legal advisors, constitutional specialists, and trusted senior aides, Prince William allegedly reviewed historical royal restrictions dating back generations, including precedents tied to royal naming conventions, institutional representation, and the boundaries between sovereign authority and private commercial identity. If those reports are accurate, then Prince William was not improvising. Prince William was studying history before writing the future. Meanwhile, inside Buckingham Palace, reports suggest that King Charles III faced an increasingly difficult dilemma, because on one side stood fatherhood, reconciliation, and the emotional bond with Prince Harry, while on the other side stood institutional duty, public confidence, and the strategic vision being presented by Prince William. Royal commentators now describe that period as one of the most delicate internal balancing acts of King Charles III's reign. But perhaps the most fascinating figure during this period was Catherine, Princess of Wales. Because while headlines continued focusing on California interviews, podcast headlines, and public controversies surrounding Meghan Markle, Catherine, Princess of Wales quietly continued reinforcing everything the institution wanted: projected calm leadership, visible service, and unwavering public trust. And some royal observers now believe that this was no coincidence. Could Catherine, Princess of Wales, have become the living example of what Prince William believed a working royal should represent? What do you think? Because according to speculation, while the public admired Catherine's consistency, Prince William was reportedly finalizing something much more dramatic: a formal line between working royal and private figure. And if that line became official, there would be no gray area left. For Meghan Markle, whose international image remained closely connected to the title Duchess of Sussex, and for Prince Harry, whose identity remained emotionally intertwined with both military service and royal legacy, such a line could transform not only public perception, but business relationships, institutional invitations, and long-term legacy itself. And according to reports, by the time the paperwork began moving through palace channels, Prince William may already have secured the one thing nobody expected: quiet support. Because what happened next reportedly brought King Charles III to a decision that could alter the future of the monarchy forever. And in the next chapter, the alleged documents, the legal language, and the first direct collision with the Sussex brand finally begin to surface. If you want every hidden layer of this royal drama, every strategic move, and every palace revelation, subscribe now, stay with us, and prepare yourself. Because Prince William's next move may be the moment royal history changes forever. Just when many royal watchers believed the tension between Prince William, Prince Harry, and Meghan Markle had already reached its highest point, palace commentators began whispering about something far more explosive. Because according to reports emerging from inside Buckingham Palace, the real confrontation had not started with public interviews, media contracts, or California headlines, but with a set of legal documents so carefully constructed that by the time anyone outside the palace noticed what was happening, Prince William may already have been several moves ahead. And if those reports are true, then what happened next may explain why so many royal insiders suddenly stopped talking publicly. Because according to palace observers, Prince William, the future king, was no longer focused on repairing relationships, and Prince William was no longer focused on controlling headlines, because Prince William had reportedly moved into a far more dangerous phase, enforcement. And that changes everything. Because one thing must be understood about institutions like the British royal family. When policy replaces emotion, outcomes become permanent. So ask yourself this. If Prince William truly believed the monarchy was facing a long-term credibility crisis, would Prince William choose family peace or institutional survival? According to multiple royal commentators, Prince William's answer may already have been clear. Reports suggest that sometime after those internal consultations, palace legal advisors allegedly began circulating draft language focused on one phrase that would soon dominate confidential discussions: active royal designation. It sounded technical, almost harmless, but according to insiders, those three words carried consequences that could directly affect ceremonial access, institutional privileges, official representation, and even the commercial value of royal identity itself. And for Meghan Markle, whose global recognition remained deeply connected to the prestige of the Sussex title, and for Prince Harry, whose personal journey continued to bridge military legacy, family loyalty, and public independence, that phrase may have represented something far more dangerous than public criticism. It may have represented separation. Permanent separation. According to reports, as palace legal teams refined internal frameworks, executives connected to media branding, speaking engagements, and international partnerships reportedly began watching developments very closely, because if the definition of working royal changed officially, then the global market value of titles, appearances, introductions, and institutional associations could change overnight. And suddenly this was no longer just royal drama. This was business. This was power. This was legacy. And according to palace speculation, Meghan Markle reportedly understood exactly what was at stake. Because royal commentators claim that around this same period, discussions surrounding title protection, international branding, and identity management began intensifying around the Sussex circle, with advisors allegedly exploring ways to preserve long-term brand independence even if palace policy shifted dramatically. Those reports remain speculative, but if accurate, they reveal something fascinating. While Prince William may have been protecting the institution, Meghan Markle may have been protecting the brand. And that raises a difficult question. When institution meets ambition, who wins? What would you do? Would you defend your identity? Or would you surrender your title? Meanwhile, inside Kensington Palace, royal watchers noticed something else, something quieter but equally important, because throughout the speculation, Catherine, Princess of Wales, continued appearing in hospitals, charities, public initiatives, and family-centered engagements with the same measured confidence that has made Catherine, Princess of Wales, one of the most trusted figures in modern monarchy. And according to several royal analysts, Catherine, Princess of Wales, was not simply maintaining appearances. Catherine, Princess of Wales, may have been reinforcing Prince William's message without ever saying a word. Because while controversy generated headlines, Catherine represented continuity. While speculation generated clicks, Catherine represented service. And while public narratives shifted around Meghan Markle and Prince Harry, Catherine quietly reminded the public what the institution believed royalty should look like. Was that coincidence? Or strategy? Tell us what you think. But perhaps the most dramatic development came when reports suggested that King Charles III was finally shown the complete framework prepared by Prince William, including eligibility standards, representation rules, and a clear distinction between public duty and private identity. Royal commentators describe that moment as one of the most defining private meetings of King Charles III's reign, because on one side stood the emotional bond with Prince Harry, and on the other side stood the strategic vision of Prince William, the future king. And according to speculation, the future may have won. Because what happened next reportedly triggered the first direct impact on the Sussex brand. And in the next chapter, the financial consequences, the public fallout, and the corporate reactions begin to emerge in ways nobody inside Hollywood, inside California, or inside the monarchy may have fully expected. If you want every hidden move, every palace strategy, and every untold chapter behind this royal power struggle, subscribe now, stay with us, and prepare for what comes next. Because the real cost of Prince William's strategy may only now be coming into focus. By the time the final details of Prince William's reported strategy began reaching royal commentators, media executives, and longtime palace observers, one thing was becoming impossible to ignore, because what many originally dismissed as ordinary family tension now appeared to be something far larger, far colder, and far more consequential. A carefully calculated institutional reset that may have already changed the balance of power inside the British royal family forever. And if the reports emerging from Buckingham Palace are even partially accurate, then this story was never truly about headlines, and never simply about Meghan Markle or Prince Harry, because from the very beginning, this may have been about the survival of the crown itself. And this is where the financial reality reportedly began to collide with royal tradition. According to royal commentators and media analysts, as speculation around status clarification, title restrictions, and institutional restructuring intensified, several global executives connected to public speaking, entertainment partnerships, publishing opportunities, and premium branding reportedly began reassessing the long-term commercial value associated with royal-linked identities. None of these reports have been officially confirmed by palace authorities, but according to commentators following the story closely, one concern kept surfacing behind closed boardroom doors. What happens if the public aura changes before the contracts do? And if you were investing millions into a global brand connected to monarchy, would you wait for certainty, or would you move first? That question, according to observers, may have created the first real tremors. Because by this stage, Meghan Markle had spent years building an identity recognized across United States, United Kingdom, and international media circles, transforming royal visibility into cultural influence, philanthropic positioning, and commercial opportunity. Alongside Prince Harry, the Sussex brand had become one of the most talked about names in modern royal history. But according to speculation, when palace policy begins shifting, even the strongest brand can suddenly face a question it never expected. What exactly gives that brand its power? Is it the personality? Or is it the crown? And that question may be at the very center of everything. Because while international attention remained focused on California, interviews, documentaries, and future projects involving Meghan Markle and Prince Harry, royal observers claim that inside Kensington Palace, Prince William was reportedly doing something remarkably different. Saying almost nothing. No public celebration. No victory statement. No carefully managed interviews. And according to many analysts, that silence may have been Prince William's strongest message of all. Because real institutional power, according to those who study monarchy, rarely announces itself. It simply changes the rules. Meanwhile, Catherine, Princess of Wales, continued reinforcing the image many supporters believe represents the future of the crown, appearing in community initiatives, family-centered public engagements, and charitable work with the same quiet authority that has increasingly made Catherine, Princess of Wales, one of the most trusted faces of the monarchy. And for many royal watchers, that contrast became impossible to ignore. On one side, Meghan Markle represented modern ambition, global branding, and independent visibility. On the other side, Catherine, Princess of Wales, represented continuity, discipline, and institutional service. And standing between those two worlds was Prince William, the future king who may have chosen structure over sentiment. So here is the question nobody inside the palace may want answered publicly. Did Prince William save the monarchy? Or did Prince William permanently change what monarchy means? And what about Prince Harry? Because beyond headlines, beyond contracts, and beyond institutional frameworks, this remains the story of two brothers who once walked behind the coffin of their mother, who once stood side by side before the world, and who now may represent two completely different visions of legacy, identity, and royal duty. Can that relationship ever truly recover? Can King Charles III still bring reconciliation between Prince William and Prince Harry? Or has the institution already moved beyond emotion and into doctrine? Because according to palace speculation, what we have witnessed may not be the ending of this story at all. It may be the beginning of the reign before the reign. The era where Prince William stops preparing for power and starts defining it. So now we want to hear from you. Was Prince William right to draw a hard line for the future of the monarchy? Should Meghan Markle and Prince Harry still keep the privileges of royal identity after stepping away? And what role should Catherine, Princess of Wales, play in the next chapter of The Crown? Share your thoughts in the comments below, because your voice matters in this conversation. And if you want more deep royal analysis, hidden palace stories, and the untold power moves shaping the future of the monarchy, subscribe now, turn on notifications, and stay with us. Because behind palace walls, the next chapter may already be unfolding.